joining me to discuss Israel and Iran and the introduction of his bipartisan House bill that aims to lift Assad-era sanctions on Syria is the representative of Indiana's 3rd Congressional District, Congressman Marlin Stutzman. Thanks for joining us, giving us time tonight. Okay, so Tim Walz says the global moral authority may be coming from China.
That is a first, Andrew. I have never heard such ridiculousness, even though there's a lot coming out of the left, on the left side of the aisle right now. But to actually say that China is the broker here, look, this is what happened. I was just in Israel 2 weeks ago. I was talking with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, and the top of his mind was to get the hostages out of Gaza after Hamas attacked Israel from Gaza. And of course, they have the Houthis launching rockets on them on a daily basis. We had to hit bomb shelters twice while we were there because of incoming rockets from Yemen. And now, and we were told that, before we went over there, that there was a chance that an attack on Iran could happen. Here's the bottom line in all of this is the Iranians cannot have a nuclear program, period. And I don't know why the left thinks that we can even negotiate with them. President Trump did negotiate with them, and he gave them an opportunity. And they should have known that that was their opportunity. And the one thing that these authoritarian leaders in the Middle East, what they do respect is strength. And I believe that that's why it's important for Israel, for us to back Israel and allow them to defend themselves, to take out these nuclear sites. One other thing that really bothers me is that the fact that it's not just Israel that should be threatened by a nuclear Iran. It's also Saudi Arabia, it's Turkey, it's UAE, it's other Gulf nations that if Iran has a nuclear weapon, they're also going to be leveraged by the Iranians.
And I'm old enough to remember when Democrats like Hillary Clinton said this was unacceptable. So talk to me about this bill to lift the Assad-era sanctions.
Well, this goes back to Syria, and it was a very unexpected for al-Shara to become the president of Syria. And Assad, of course, the family regime there for 50 years had brutally oppressed their own people there in Syria. It was a political genocide. And so after al-Shara, who has a checkered past of his own, is now the president of Syria. But as I met with him over the Easter holiday, I was impressed by the fact that the Christians were on the streets in Syria celebrating Easter openly. It was the largest celebration the Christians have had in Syria in decades. The fact that Hezbollah has been pushed out of Lebanon and al-Shara was helpful in that effort, also pushing the Iranians out of Syria. So my hope is that with the sanctions lifted that President Trump lifted a couple of weeks ago, it points to a Syria that is new and free and has economic opportunity. One thing that was pointed out to me, and I think this is a good point, is if al-Shara plans, and we have to keep an eye on him. I'm not saying we just give him the keys to the farm, but we have to keep a close eye on him. But if he's asking for the sanctions to be lifted, he believes that the nation can rebuild themselves. He didn't ask for any military help. He didn't ask for any money. But with the sanctions lifted means that he wants economic opportunities rather than depending on the Iranians or the Qataris or some other rogue nation to be his money supply. Rather, that the economy there in Syria be rebuilt for the Syrian people. So that's why I'm supporting it.
Well, you have Tim Walz saying, well, the Middle East is on fire, not because of Donald Trump, but because of Iran. And Donald Trump is going around offering olive branches. And I do love the phrase, buildings, not bombs, commerce, not chaos. He's saying, look, we can have a peaceful Middle East if you want trade and prosperity. And, the Iranians obviously don't want that right now. But if he can get other nations, other Islamic nations to join in on this, the Iranians will be left isolated if they don't join as well.
100%. And, that's what, President al-Shara, when I met with him, I asked him if he would be open to the Abraham Accords. And I tell you what, I think that's what should be flushing these countries out. If you're not willing to join the Abraham Accords, then we're going to question your intentions, just like Qatar again. We got to be careful that they're not just defending and supporting any sort of terrorism. Join the Abraham Accords, and that's going to show the rest of the world that you're truly open to, peace and prosperity. And I think that that's one of the missing factors that Trump has brought to the table is that prosperity for these countries is also very helpful in bringing peace. And Israel has shown that they know how to act as a democracy, grow an economy, and I think the Saudis are doing that, and the UAE is doing that. One other important piece to all of this that I think we should watch in Syria is what kind of curriculum they use in their schools. When I was in Israel, they showed us the curriculum that was used in the Gaza Strip by the Palestinians, teaching their children how to kill Israeli soldiers. That's simply unacceptable, and it shouldn't be allowed in any sort of Arab or Muslim country that killing and that sort of hatred to be tolerated anywhere. So I think that's a big signal, and we need to watch closely what happens in Syria with their curriculum.
I'm going to run out of time here. I only got about 30 seconds. Israel's basically the San Francisco of the Middle East. And it's funny watching the Democrats be on the wrong side of history here. If you compare the two societies without labels, you'd say, oh, yeah, the one that treats women equally and religious minorities equally and, has abortion is legal and gun control is strict and all these other things that the Democrats say they want, but yet they take the other side every time they get a chance. I do have to leave it there. I'm out of time. Sir, thank you so much. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, Andrew. Great to be with you.